The 2016 NFL Draft was known for quarterbacks, and you can take that to either be good or bad. The Rams traded up for the top spot to take Jared Goff. That's not happening again. But with the Titans still good with Marcus Mariota in 2016, and in fairness, we're going to keep it as real as possible without a hint of the future. I still have the Rams moving up to number 1 and taking quarterback Dak Prescott. He's at least 3,300 passing yards with at least 28 total touchdowns in every full season he has played. He was also crushing it last year before his injury, so he's good. You almost worry that he was so good as a rookie, he would have saved Jeff Fisher's job, and they never would have hired Sean McVay. So maybe they go Jared Goff. No. Dak Prescott is the pick. Number 2. The Browns take Joey Bosa. Now, I know a lot of people question the Cleveland Browns for passing on Carson Wentz, and obviously they were proven correct, and they're going to pass on Wentz again one more time to take local kid Joey Bosa, who's battled some injuries, but he's had double-digit sacks in 3 of his 5 seasons in the NFL. At number 3, the Chargers will take Tyreek Hill. Because obviously with the Chargers missing out on Joey Bosa, they end up doing all right with Hill. The Chargers, of course, favor those tall, physical receivers, meaning Michael Thomas could be in play here. But with Hill, he gives them an extra dimension to that Chargers offense with his ability to stretch the field. You pair him with Keenan Allen, and all of a sudden you have one of the best receiving corps in the league. At number 4, the Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott. Now, this is what happened in real life, and I would say that it was a smart pick. Now, we could have the conversation of whether the Cowboys would be better off with Derrick Henry or not, but Zeke did lead the league in rushing twice, including 1,631 yards in 16 total touchdowns as a rookie. So I think Zeke has been pretty good for the Cowboys. At number 5, the Jaguars select Jalen Ramsey. And again, this is something that happened in real life. Obviously, things did not end up well for the Jags in Ramsey, but, and maybe in an alternate reality, Myles Jack was not ruled down. The Jags go on to the Super Bowl. They beat the Falcons. Maybe I become the new AEW announcer. Listen, there's a lot of things that could happen, but it was still a solid pick for the Jags. And if things could work out, with Ramsey being one of the more elite cornerbacks in the league, I think they have to do it once again. At number 6, the Ravens select Michael Thomas. Now, the Ravens originally nabbed Ronnie Stanley in this spot, and he's turned out to be a really good pro, reaching All-Pro in 2019. But the idea of pairing Thomas with veteran Steve Smith, who is in his final season as a pro, is just too good to pass up here, and MT ends up dominating for the Ravens, who still, to this day, need a wide receiver. At number 7, the 49ers select Ronnie Stanley. Now, they originally took DeForest Buckner here, and it would make a lot of sense for the 49ers to still take him, but you know what? Having a stud like Stanley on the offensive line, and maybe I am cheating a little bit thinking about Kyle Shanahan in the future, I think that it's way too attractive to pass up at this point. At number 8, the Eagles stay here, and they draft Carson Wentz. Yeah, I know this is crazy. I know a lot of Eagles fans don't want this, but think about this. Here's why I say you stick with Carson Wentz. The Eagles do not win the Super Bowl if Carson Wentz isn't playing at an MVP level in 2017. And I know everything after that has been terrible, and I know he wasn't the Super Bowl MVP, didn't play in the playoffs, but Carson Wentz got them to that point. And I think if you're an Eagles fan and you say the trade-off is you get one good year out of Carson Wentz at this spot, knowing that you're going to win a Super Bowl, you make that pick. At number 9, the Chicago Bears take DeForest Buckner. Now, obviously, the Bears jumped up to number 9, jumping ahead of the New York Giants. I still have them making that move, but instead of going for Leonard Floyd, I have them go with Buckner, a solid pro. He was an all-pro with the Indianapolis Colts last season. He'd be playing with Vic Fangio. eventually Khalil Mack, without knowing that, I think that this becomes a very good pick for the Chicago Bears. At number 10, the New York Giants select James Bradberry. Now, the Giants originally selected Eli Apple with this pick in 2016. Eli's now on his third team. Instead, they're going to be going with Bradberry, who has become an elite shutdown corner for the Giants, a team that he joined after signing a free agent contract in 2020. At number 11, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Xavier Howard. Now, the Bucs originally, after they swapped this pick, drafted Vernon Hargreaves, who was eventually waived in 2019. But it does show that the Buccaneers needed some help at cornerback, as fun as it would be to imagine somebody like Derrick Henry landing here. I'm going to go with Howard, who has become an elite cornerback. He got some Defensive Player of the Year votes this season. I think this is a very good pick for the Buccaneers. At number 12, the New Orleans Saints select Chris Jones, defensive tackle. Now, originally, the Saints drafted Sheldon Rankins with a number 12 overall pick, and he's been solid. But Jones has become one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the game and would be a much better selection for the Saints. I know it seems ridiculous that Jones is going this late in the draft, but this seems like the appropriate spot with all these studs going. So we have Jones going to the Saints at number 12. At number 13, the Miami Dolphins select Laramie Tunsil. Now, there was some weird circumstances, and I will just leave it at that, which enabled Tunsil to tumble in the 2016 NFL Draft. And you know what? I still believe, even though the Dolphins traded him, they still make this pick, because either you have this stud offensive lineman or you get a bunch of picks from the Texans. So listen, it obviously worked out for them. At number 14, the Oakland Raiders select Kevin Byard. Now, originally, the Raiders went with Carl Joseph, and he played well during his rookie season, but ultimately, if you're going to draft a safety, you would take Byard, who was the NFL interception co-leader in 2017. He was also selected All-Pro that season, so he's the pick right there. At number 15, the Tennessee Titans select Derrick Henry. And again, this gets convoluted because of all the trades and everything, but assuming the Titans stay here, they're not going to select Jack Conklin, which they did at number 8, but instead use this pick on a player they got in the second round. And if you want to debate the merits of drafting a running back at this spot, please stop, because Henry is the truth. He's the truth. Number 16, the Detroit Lions select Jack Conklin. Now, the Lions originally went with Taylor Decker in 2016, and he's been pretty good. Even has a touchdown reception to his name, but Conklin is a two-time All-Pro during his career, so I feel that he's probably the better selection right here. Number 17, the Falcons select Keanu Neal, their original pick in 2016. He eventually would go on to reach the Pro Bowl in 2017. Now, he did have some injury problems in 2018, 2019, so maybe you wouldn't have picked him, but he played 15 games in 2020, recorded his first NFL sack, so I believe the Falcons would be very happy to keep Neal here. Number 18, the Colts select Ryan Kelly. The Colts have one of the best lines in football, maybe the best, and it starts at the center position with Kelly, who the Colts originally selected in 2016. He's become a two-time Pro Bowler. He was second-team All-Pro in 2020, so the Colts stick with him here. Number 19, the Bills select Yannick Ngakoue. Now, the Bills originally went with Shaq Lawson. He's fine. Not spectacular, but fine. However, Ngakoue was brilliant with the Jaguars, especially in 2017. Things didn't work out well with him. He was traded to Minnesota, but has been reborn in Baltimore and would have been great with the Bills in 2020. At number 20, the Jets select Jalen Smith. Now, they used their number 20 overall selection in 2016 on Darren Lee, who did go on to win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, even though he was inactive for the game. But we'll have the Jets take Smith, whose career was delayed because of a brutal injury at Notre Dame, but he was a Pro Bowl player for the Cowboys in 2019. Number 21, the Washington football team will select Will Fuller. Now, originally in 2016, the Texans moved ahead of the FT to take Fuller, and the FT ended up with Josh Doxson. That's not going to happen this time around. The FT will select Fuller, and even though he's battled injuries, can you imagine him, Terry McLaurin, the past two seasons? That would be pretty good. At number 22, the Texans select Taylor Decker. because the Texans will not be selecting Dotson as the football team did. And since Houston would eventually trade picks for Laramie Tunsil, why not use this selection on Decker, who I said earlier is a solid football player, and he would give a lot of stability for the Texans on the offensive line, whether they draft Deshaun Watson or not. Who knows what the alternate reality means, but this is a solid pick for the Texans. Number 23, the Vikings select Joe Thuney. Now, the Vikings originally went with Ole Miss wide receiver Laquan Treadwell with this pick. And look, I missed on that one too. And since there aren't a lot of great receivers to pick here, I think that Thuney would be an excellent choice here for the Vikings. He's a solid player. Brandon Fusco was on the line, but he was playing in his final season. Thuney would end up being a solid guy for the Vikings on the line. At number 24, the Cincinnati Bengals select Kenny Clark. The Bengals took William Jackson with this spot originally, and he's still a member of the team. He's fine, but Clark would be so huge for them. He would eventually replace Domata Pico, who played his final season in 2016, and he would form, we're talking about Kenny Clark here, form a nice tandem with Geno Atkins. At number 25, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Justin Simmons. The Steelers always seem to nail it no matter where they are drafting, although in this particular instance, they selected Artie Burns, so maybe not always. But Simmons seems like such a Steelers pick, like just a great player that they get at the end of the first round. It makes too much sense for them now. He's a free safety, which might mean no Minkah Fitzpatrick in the future, but still, we don't know what's going on. You got to make this the proper call here. They're going to go with Justin Simmons. At number 26, the Seattle Seahawks select Cody Whitehair. Now, in the original draft, this is where the Broncos moved up to select Paxton Lynch. That's probably not going to happen here. And while the Seahawks went offensive line with Jermaine Ifedi, who would eventually go on to play with the Bears, they take a current Bear. And as a Bears fan, I don't like this. I no longer like this exercise. This isn't fun at all. 27, Green Bay Packers select Sheldon Rankins. Now, the Packers took Kenny Clark for real in 2016. But since Clark has already been selected in this exercise, I'm going to have them go with Rankins. He's obviously had some injury problems, but he's been solid when he's been available. And he's that kind of annoying player that I know would just be so good for the Green Bay Packers. At number 28, the Chiefs select Matt Judon. Now, the Chiefs traded out of this spot originally as the 49ers moved up for Joshua Garnett, and that wasn't great. But with Judon on the board, maybe the Chiefs never trade for Frank Clark, who never jumps off sides, and maybe the Chiefs go to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. But either way, I think this is the proper pick for the Chiefs. At number 29, the Arizona Cardinals select Miles Jack. The Cardinals took a big swing with Robert Mdiche, and it didn't work out. But I really do believe a player like Jack would have been perfect for the Cardinals, who've always seemed to have great success with these tweener type of guys who are just good football players. Solid football players. I think Miles Jack would be amazing. And then maybe that changes some other things. Then he's not down for the Jags in the 2017 AFC Championship. There's a lot of things that could happen. But I think Miles Jack ends up being a winning pick for the Arizona Cardinals. At number 30, the Carolina Panthers select Hunter Henry. Now, the Panthers obviously had Greg Olsen still on their roster, and they did look for some help in the draft because they drafted Vernon Butler. But, I'm thinking of this, and I'm thinking of all the 12 personnel the Panthers could run with Olsen and Henry, and eventually Henry becomes his successor. Oh, this is an automatic pick for the Panthers. And at number 31, the Denver Broncos select Jared Goff. Yeah, that's right. Now listen, the Broncos traded up to take Paxton Lynch, and obviously that didn't work out, but that's where their heads were at. Peyton Manning was retiring. They needed to get a quarterback, and we could debate whether Goff has been a product of Sean McVay. He has still led a team to the Super Bowl. And for the defending Super Bowl champions, who showed that you didn't need great quarterback play to win a Super Bowl, I think this makes a lot of sense for the Denver Broncos. I would like to see what could have possibly happened. So we will have Jared Goff going here at number 31 with the final pick in the first round, because remember, the New England Patriots had forfeited a pick for reasons that I'm not going to go into here. You have Google. You can go check it out for yourself. But that was my 2016 NFL redraft. I'm sure there's going to be no disagreement. I'm sure everybody's on board with this. We're going to sign off. I can't wait to read all the glowing comments and how much you guys love this. So thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time.